More about Doctor Strange. We are now joined via Skype by one of the film's writers, Mr. Jon Spaihts. Jon, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Doctor Strange movie.
Doctor Strange has been my favorite hero since I was very little. When I was reading comic books as hand-me-downs from friends and getting stories and scraps, he was the man for me. So when I heard that Marvel was going to finally make a Doctor Strange film after all these years, I pursued it and had my agent call and get me in the room because I desperately wanted to work on the project. And Scott Derrickson, the director, and I were friendly, and it worked out very well.
This is the first live-action Doctor Strange movie. Did you feel a kind of responsibility bringing this comic book character to the big screen for the first time?
Absolutely. You've got to get it right, and magic is hard. And he's also, of course, very dear to my heart, and I know there are a lot of other Doctor Strange fans like me out there waiting for this movie. So you have to be true to the character. And there's more than 50 years of comic book storytelling to refer to and to be true to.
What was it like for you being a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Because Doctor Strange, as Clark said, is a bit of a different part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's a different character than we've seen as of yet.
Doctor Strange is like the gatekeeper to a new domain of storytelling inside the Marvel Comics universe. Throughout the comic book canon, there are a lot of characters who use magic or who use magic and technology intermingled. And we haven't met most of those characters yet. But with the arrival of Doctor Strange and the embrace of paranormal and mystical threats to the world from which we need protection, I think thousands of possible storylines open up. It's exciting.
You know, when plotting a movie like this, how do you strike a balance between source material and sort of coming up with new ideas?
In this instance, that was easy because I think Doctor Strange has the best comic book origin story, bar none, of any hero. And the most important thing we had to do was to be true to that origin story and to get it right. And then within that structure, you've got to find ways to make it new and to surprise people, to freshen up that world.
Clark, you know, these movies have humongous fan bases before they even become movies. Do you think that makes it harder for filmmakers to sort of take them on and innovate sometimes?
To some extent. And if you mess around with characters too much, you know, they're going to get pushback. It's not so much the diehard fans as the fact that these things cost like, I don't know, $150, $200 million to make. I mean, that's the problem. And you kind of think, well, maybe one day, you know, there'll be, you know, these huge tentpole DC and Marvel movies, but then maybe they'll almost be like the indie version of that, the Sundance version of that, where they'll give, you know, Jim Jarmusch or somebody like him, you know, $3 million to go off and do something. I can't really see that happening, but I mean, I think that would be kind of cool.
Without giving too much away, how do you see Doctor Strange impacting the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, if you're a deep comic book reader, you know that there are big storylines that span multiple characters' stories and involve dozens of players from the Marvel Comics universe. And Doctor Strange is a big player in some of the most epic storylines of recent decades. So to add him to the lineup means to open up a couple of saga-scaled storylines within the Marvel Comics world and to bring them into the cinematic universe. So it's really opening the door to bring some of the great myths, the epic myths of Marvel to the screen.
Is there a Marvel superhero you'd like to see in a movie that hasn't been in one yet, Clark?
I don't know that there's a Marvel superhero. The problem is they keep on making movies of my favorite characters and either totally messing them up or no one goes to see them. Or in the case of Judge Dredd, both, actually. I mean, I was outraged that Judge Dredd was not on this list.
Did you not like the most recent Judge Dredd movie?
No, I did not like the Sylvester Stallone movie, which wasn't very popular. And I loved the recent movie with Keith Urban, which was even less popular.
The Alex Garland movie,
yes,
essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought that was terrific. And Carl Urban does keep on saying we may see him don the helmet, again.
Jon, before I let you go, is there a comic book character that has not had a movie yet that you would like to see?
I think the characters I'm most excited about are the ones deeper in the magical world that Doctor Strange opens the door to. I was, as a kid, deeply in love with the mystical world of Marvel Comics. So there are characters deeper in that lore, characters I'm not going to name, that I am really excited to see come to the screen.